Welcome back. The details. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said the whole world is looking at Egypt with great attention as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated the United Nations Global Summit on Climate Change, known as COP27, in the Ras resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. The presidential spokesperson asserted that Egypt is on the verge of hosting a historical event at which the international community, with all its different components, are participating. Radi pointed out that there are intensive and various activities carried out by President Sisi during the climate summit. The president will also give an opening speech that will reveal the roadmap for a better future for the peoples worldwide. The head of state will participate in a number of main activities during the summit, as he is also due to hold a number of bilateral meetings and talks with his counterparts coming from the whole world. Delegates from nearly 200 countries will gather in Sharm el-Sheikh from November 6th through November 18th for the UN Climate Summit COP27. It's being billed as the African COP, amid hopes that the first climate summit to be held on African soil will address the fears of the continent, which is least responsible for climate change phenomena.
As Africa braces to host the UN Climate Change COP27 summit in Egypt as of Sunday, observers hope the summit will meet the continent's urgent needs. A study by the Carbon Brief News Service said last week that in Africa alone, extreme weather events have killed at least 4,000 people and displaced 19 million so far this year. The ongoing drought in East Africa is impacting livelihoods of more than 9 million people, and 1.4 million people have been displaced in recent weeks in the worst floods on record in Nigeria. As the toll of climate-linked disasters mounts in debt-ridden countries across Africa, governments are demanding that rich polluters pay for the harm their emissions have already caused, known as loss and damage. Ugandan campaigner Vanessa Nakati said historically Africa is responsible for less than 4% of global emissions, but Africans are suffering some of the most brutal impacts of the climate crisis. Richer governments rejected a call for a financial mechanism to address losses and damage at last year's climate talks in Glasgow, and instead negotiators agreed to start a dialogue on financial compensation. Glasgow agreed to raise the ambition of their emissions-cutting plans. However, the UN says those additional measures would result in a pollution cut of less than 1% by 2030. The Glasgow summit also produced a new strategy for financing energy transition. A group of rich nations committed to providing $8.5 billion to coal-dependent South Africa, one of the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters, over 3 to 5 years in grants and loans to help its climate plan and catalyze private investment. But the World Bank said this week that South Africa will require at least $500 billion to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050.
All eyes on Egypt are going to be on Egypt while hosting UN Climate Conference COP27, at which 30,000 participants representing nearly 200 countries, including leaders of countries, heads of governments, and representatives of international organizations. Stressing Egypt's vital role in a great status, the Interior Ministry has put a strict strategy to secure such a global event and guarantees full security of Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of peace, starting from the moment of the arrival of the delegations participating in the summit. On Saturday, Minister of Interior General Mahmoud Tawfiq inspected the preparations implemented by the ministry's authorities to secure the climate summit. Tawfiq stressed the importance of active police attendance to implement all security plans sufficiently and accurately. Minister of Defense General Mohammed Zaki inspected development works of one main warehouses of military engineers administrations. Zaki was accompanied by Army Chief of Staff General Osama Askar and a number of Army commanders. This falls within the framework of keenness of the Armed Forces General commanded to follow up the methods adopted to develop the Army's performance in various domains. Zaki conveyed the greetings of the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, underlying the importance of high performance, fighting skills, and hard work. He also highlighted the importance of boosting the scientific level of the Armed Forces personnel on all levels, stressing the necessity of exerting the utmost efforts to maintain the security of the country's strategic borders. On the sidelines of his visit to Bahrain, which hosted a two-day conference entitled East and West for Humanitarian Coexistence, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Al-Imam Al-Akbar Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, met with Pope of Vatican, and they both hailed the brotherly bond between the two top religious figures. We have more details. The Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Al-Imam Al-Akbar Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, the chairman of the Muslim Council for Elders, stressed on Saturday that the document of human fraternity for world peace and live together became a model of peace, tolerance and mutual respect. This came during the Grand Imam's meeting with Pope Francis of Vatican in Bahrain, as both top religious figures are in a visit to the Gulf Kingdom, participating in a two-day conference entitled East and West for Humanitarian Coexistence. Al-Tayyib expressed full appreciation to the brotherly ties that bind him with the pontiff, as both signed the historic document in 2019 and had different meetings in different occasions. The Grand Imam urged religious scholars, regardless of their sects, to hold serious dialogue to promote unity and fight division and strife. For his part, Pope Francis welcomed Al-Tayyib, hailing the efforts exerted by Al-Azhar and the Muslim Council for Elders to boost interfaith dialogue and spread the culture of tolerance and international peace, stressing the importance of cooperation among world leaders for the sake of humanity at large. The pontiff also highlighted the importance of dialogue in ending struggles and wars and stop the spread of hatred and discrimination. He stated that dialogue was the oxygen of peaceful coexistence, striking out the arms trade of a commerce of death that he said was turning our common home into one great arsenal.